afternoon. NYO Weekly, lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon, and it's NYO Weekly, lowering the boom.
Make some noise for your host, Nico.
Lowering the boom.
Make some noise for the OG.
Lowering the boom.
950 Cav.
Lowering the boom.
And TJ Jones.
Lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon, and it's NYO Weekly, lowering the boom. Step into the room on a Sunday afternoon, and it's NYO Weekly, lowering the boom.
What up? What up? What up? What's up, people? We back. Kinda. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, all you fathers. That's, in your kids' lives, and being that other great father, that male figure for your children. Salute you all. Salute y'all. What's up, 950? How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Suave, OG? Happy Father's Day to the biologicals and the ones who take on what the biologicals don't do. All the very best. Enjoy your day, and go tell somebody you love them. It's important.
Hey, you ain't never lied, boy. 100%. What your kids getting you, Kev? Some Jet gear? They got your Justin Field jersey?
I got a phone call from my the ones that I take care of, and if they ain't my biological. But they're not getting me Jet gear. No, I'm the only one that got stuck with that situation. And my brother ain't a Jet fan, but
Okay.
they did send me a nice
this morning. Courage.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I get you. Well, anybody watching now or later, happy Father's Day from the guys from here from NYO Weekly. But let's get into it, man. The finals.
Yeah.
Game 5 tomorrow.
It's been real interesting.
Who has the advantage? Let's put it that way. I know last two games are in Oklahoma, but who has the advantage?
As of now, probably OKC.
Okay. Now, why do you say that? Because the way they looked last game, what?
The way they looked last game, I just think. I mean, I've had them picked for the finals anyway, but it's just, I don't know. It just seems like Indiana gets to the fourth and they just run out of gas, bro.
Yes, that did look that way. Especially game 4. It looked, they gave the game away. Similar to how OKC did game 1. Down the stretch, turnovers, and when Naismith fouls out, and you let Shea get to 35 after he had 17 at half. You got, I know it's easier said than done, but you're gonna have to force somebody else to beat you. You have to. I think that's the best way for Indiana to win this series and win the chip. You got to force them others. Now, them others did look good in game 2, but outside of that game 2 in Oklahoma, Caruso is the only one that showed up, really.
But the others can score too. I'm not worried. I mean, I don't think you can do that with OKC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can just say, okay, we're going to shut down SGA and we'll let everybody else eat. You're going to lose.
Well, they kind of did something similar to that in game 3. But he had 24.
Yeah, but he just had a bad shooting night.
Right.
That's what that was. That wasn't the defense. That was him not making shots that he normally make.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say you can't really key on SGA and leave everybody. I mean, who are you going to leave? Because you want Holmgren to eat? You want Caruso to eat? You want Williams to eat?
Yes. Anybody but him.
Okay. I mean, you can't. There's certain teams you can do that to, but OKC, I don't think is one of them. I
But
just really
6
don't.
million ways to die. Choose one.
But I think
You're gonna lose.
if we look at it, outside of that game 1, when Shea ain't going, they ain't going. Look at game 3. He had 24. You lost by what? 10? Now, I'm not saying you can do that again. But what I'm saying is I would live and die if Caruso go 5 for 5 from 3 and you lose that game. It's like, look, you just had it this night. But to let him keep going for 30, 35, now I think you're not going to get away with a lot of calls you got away with in Indiana, because a lot of them, it was a lot of calls that could have went Oklahoma City way. But, home cooking, it didn't happen. But
I agree with you, Suave. I agree with you what you're saying, and actually both of y'all are right. And again, obviously, Shea is the straw that stirs the drink, but they do have another All NBA player on that court, and he showed his will. Williams showed his will Friday night as well. And yes, when Shea is going, everybody's engaged because Shea's the straw. But when those other guys are in motion, again, with 2 games to win a championship, you have to cover bases. And I know Carlisle, who's a great coach, will make the adjustments because that's what he does. But again, I think, in my opinion, the Pacers who have been the cardiac kids, they come back, they don't let anything bother them. But something about Friday was different. And I'm watching this game on a plane, and you could when I got off the plane, they were up 10 or 9. When I got to the Uber, they were losing. And again, that kind of tells you that from a standpoint of Indiana, who's used to coming back and nothing bothers them, this felt different. This felt like they had Oklahoma City on the ropes. You win that game, even though it's 3-1, there's 1 to go. Where's the parade going to be? I think the game changed, the series changed dramatically Friday night because I think Oklahoma City found something. And I think, again, that was the chorus of other guys. Shea got his, but other guys were in the move. And I think Williams showed why he's an All-NBA player. It's going to be a very interesting series. I think a series that we all kind of joked about, who we will watch, the tumbleweeds of Oklahoma and the Hicks of Indiana. But it's turned out to be a really good series, and I'm excited. I think it's going 7, but I picked the Thunder in 6. I think that now goes 7. But I think, again, the Pacers, if they lose this series, will look back to game 4 like we had them on the hook, as the great late Denny Green said, and we let them off the hook. We let them off.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I also think that, when you're a big man, twist his ankle, rolls his ankle, not twist, roll his ankle twice and get kicked in the shin, yes, and still plays the whole game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, you can key on one person, but when you got a center doing that, power forward, that affects the whole team. That's a whole nother, that's not scoring. That's not anything else. That's heart and will. You know what I mean? So if he can do it, that means I got to get out there and play extra hard because he's hurt. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think that was, I'd like Kev said, I think this is over. I really do. Even though it's 2-2 and you're going back, you got 3 games to win 2 games, but 2 of them,
mental part. Yeah.
Right, 2 of them are still in OKC.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
No doubt.
I'm crazy enough to believe, though, and I think, not saying they will, but Indiana's one of them teams. They keep that shit close. Going into that 4th quarter, you're down 10 maybe. You gotta keep making shots, because don't let.
Yeah, but also OKC haven't had one of their blowout games neither. That's what you got to worry about.
No, they blew them out. They blew them out in game 2.
No, that was subtle. That was subtle. They've been beating people by 30 and 40 points. That's what I mean by a blowout.
Yeah, I don't think the Thunder played their best game in this series.
Right.
Even though they won
That's all I'm saying.
that game 2. But the complete game, the defensive, the offense, they haven't played a complete game. Every game, except for game 1 until the last, even that they let Indiana get back in the game and win the game. But they haven't played a complete offensive defensive game. Even game 4 when they won, kind of was like, they had to make a rally late. But I think, again, and that at the OG's point, that's the scary part. If I'm Indiana, if I'm Rick Carlisle, because I don't think the players ain't that way, but if I'm the coaching staff, I'm like, wow, this team really hasn't played their A yet. And I got 2 in their building. That is a scary part. But I think, again, to your point, Schwab, as well, the Pacers are a team that have looked down the barrel before and, have done the matrix and avoid the bullet. So let's see what happens. Like I said, that's what makes it for a great series. I think, again, the NBA has gotten what they wanted with their new collective bargaining where, it's harder for guys to leave. Nobody's got to go to a big market. With SGA and Halliburton want to be in those markets, if the old contract was around, maybe not. Maybe they all want to go to, LA, New York, Chicago. But now in this new market, it actually makes sense to stay. And I think it's better. I hate it for my team. I'm in a big market. But it's good for the league. It's good for the league to have Indiana, Oklahoma City keeping the buck in the championship.
I agree. So with that being said, fellas, who wins tomorrow?
Thunder.
Who wins tomorrow and why?
I just mentioned it previously. I think, again, in series basketball, this is not the tournament. This is not NFL. This is a series. And in series basketball, there's ebb and flows. You saw it in hockey, right? You saw it at Edmonton. That win they did, to me, has changed the whole complexion of the hockey, of the Stanley Cup. But talking back to the finals, I think what happened on Friday, I think will change this series for the better for the Thunder. Again, it's nothing talent-wise. At this point, both teams know each other. They hate each other's guts. They're fighting for a championship. It's all mental. And it's not to say that the Pacers are not having a conversation. We can get through it. But, again, when you're in the moment, and we're all guys who played sports and been around sports, in the moment, while the Pacers are a team and know we can come back at any moment, there's something about it as well when you know your opponent and you know what they do and they haven't given you their best. They've gotten by, but they haven't given you their best. And that's got to scare me because in a 3-1, who cares you give me your best in game 5? We got game 6 in our building, and we're comfortable with that. But now 2-2, when I had you down 10, and I had all the Evan momentum, the Pacers have that game, it makes you think. And again, even the greatest athletes have thoughts and have intuition about what can happen. So I like the Thunder, and I think the Thunder actually gives you that A game tomorrow night, where we see that Cobra-like defense along with that great offense. I think the Thunder puts it together tomorrow night and takes command of this series on the board.
I think the fourth quarter is a preview of what you're going to see in Game 5. I think OKC finally understood what it really takes to come back against this team and how to play them. And I think that opened up their eyes. And I think they like I said, I don't think they played their best yet. And I think it's coming. And that's the scary part about it. Because once they get started, I think the only people that's going to stop them is them shooting a bad game. No defense, nobody, I don't know. I just think that at this point, OKC sees blood, smells blood, and they're going for it. I think they're going for it tomorrow night. I think they're going to try to just go ahead and take their heart, and they will.
Right. Remember, they're a young team, too. So all this is new for them as well. And again, you play in the finals. It takes time. It's antibodies that got to build up. The antibodies, they've gotten callous hands now. They can catch bricks. So right. I think, again, what you see on Monday is the culmination of that, of a team that says, we know what we're about. The stage is not too big. We're good. And I think, like OG said, you see the best of the Thunder on Monday night.
It's going to be interesting. To be honest, I can't call it because, because OKC has really controlled most of this series until, these last two games. I think, Indiana That first game, you got slapped around, but you figured it out late. Game 2 was a must-win for Oklahoma. In game 3, they kind of, I can't even say caught Shea by surprise, but it was just physicality. I don't know. But I do think Oklahoma wins tomorrow. I think they come out. I think it'll be close. I think it's going to come down to the wire. Because Indiana, let's be honest. Rick Carlisle is telling them, like, look, you can compete. Outside of game 2, you can compete with this team. Now, as far as Halliburton, it's like, fam, you got to get going early. Because this ain't the team where you could get going late, similar to a series before, or just a series that led to you getting where you are now. You got to get going early. Because you're, like we say about Shea, he's what stirs the drink. Same thing for Halliburton. When you start getting downhill, they close in the paint. Then that opens up for Naismith and Nembhard and Miles Turner to hit them threes. He got to get going early. I think that's the only way.
He's got to realize that too. And not to cut you off real quick, but obviously with Halliburton, I mean, listen, he's a great player, no question about it. Whatever that report was being overrated is not. That's bogus. I don't know what's going on with that. But the reality is that you gotta stop worrying about the Stephen A's and all that. You're in the finals, dog. You're 2 games from a championship. Again, they've won on the road before. They've run the road all playoff long, and they've won in Oklahoma City. I don't need you talking to a pundit or worrying about what a pundit thinks about you. Play basketball. Right. You're 2 games from doing something this franchise has never done. The greats of this franchise, the Reggie Millers and the Davis brothers, and even going back further than that, Terrence Stansberry's. I'm showing my age. You're 2 games away of doing something this franchise has never done. Focus on the task at hand, not worrying about what Stephen A says. And maybe that's this generation. Maybe I'm just a get off my lawn guy. And after I was at an event yesterday, I kind of feel that way. But nevertheless, I need you to focus on the task at hand. Shea hasn't played the greatest games all the time, but Shea keeps it steady. And I think Shea understands the mission at hand. That's why, again, it's why I think me and O like the Thunder. It's still there for the Pacers. Game 5 will tell who's going to win this series. We all know whoever wins game 5 in the ties in a 2-2 series normally wins the series.
True.
So you said the thing about, and I'm just going by what I see. You say that he's overrated, but Halliburton, what did he end up with last night? I mean, the other night, Friday night. 20, 14, 18 points?
That's about his average. He's averaging about 17 for the finals.
Okay. So I'm just putting this out there. If you're supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink, you gotta have more than 17 points. You gotta average more than 20 in the finals. You got to. There is no if, man, but if you're the marquee, I need you at least 25, 30.
Yes.
And you can't do 20 and 17.
Yes.
That's where you get the overrated stamp from. And it's not from your play. Yes, you can hit, last second shots. That's great. But if you got 4 points in the first half of the finals, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Something is, I don't know what it is, but you can't be that star and have 4 points at halftime and then have 17 in the game and look like, oh, we should have won. No.
Yeah. You can't just be Frost and you got to be Cake. You got to be Cake and Frost. Yeah, right. I hear you. I hear you when you look at it that way. Oh, I can't say you're wrong because again, it is a situation where you are the team's lead, and I understand he likes to get everybody involved, but where's the dogs? I need you fourth quarter, like move, get me the damn rock because I gotta bring us home, and I dig it. You're right because that part. I just look at it from a standpoint where the overrated piece is because even though while he goes into lows, it seems like he rises in the big moments. I give him that. In the moments when the lights are brightest and the time is, when most guys want to run to a toilet, he's stepping up to the stage. So I give him that, but they got to get him going early, as Suave said, because again, if he starts to go into a lull, the other guys can't do it. The other guys are role players. The Neesmiths and the Toppins, those they're good. I mean, T.J. McConnell, they play their role to perfection, but they're not leading you. So Halliburton's got to get a little bit more selfish, and maybe he needs to hear somebody like an OG say, "Hey, man, we just because you hit a couple big shots against the Knicks, that's great, but hey, listen, you playing for a chip and you deferring, and we need you, take this thing over."
Yeah.
No, yeah. So for sure. But
I am too, Tom. That's why I'm talking about cake and food.
But no,
but before you move on, Suave, let me just say this. I think the key to tomorrow night's game is if OKC's coach learned what he did in Game 4 by giving SGA a lot of rest early before the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he was fresh in the fourth.
That's an adjustment from Game 3. Because Game 3, he was done.
Yeah,
and I think again, smart coach. Let me give him that Gatorade nap early, and then have him fresh for the fourth. Almost a football mentality, right? Where I want my DNs fresh for the fourth. I rotate first 3 quarters. I want you frosty for the fourth. And I think that's what they learned. And that was a great adjustment by OKC to make that adjustment because Shea was the bell cow in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's gonna be interesting. But my thing with OKC too is why he don't play them bigs at the same time? Like why what's with that? Because I get you maybe want Hartenstein coming off the bench, but why not get both of them boys out there just for rebounding purposes and second chance points?
Well, I think it's matchups. Right, exactly. So, again, in this day and age of basketball, it's a perimeter game. So who you going to guard? You're going to have a mismatch somewhere. And I think that's where it is. Now, again, if you play Indy's big, right, he's fine. But then again, you bring an Obi in, a Toppin. He's gonna run right by those big boys, right? Even Holmgren, who's supposed to be this dual, he don't have the foot speed. So I think again, I think their best lineup is when they have Dort and Jalen and SGA in there, because Dort is that new age defender that's 6. Okay.
Not Dort, but what's my man name? 22? Is it Wallace? Is it Case?
Right, right. Yep. Case on Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just, I don't know. I just didn't understand that because, you're giving up a lot of size. I don't know how tall he is, but you got him trying to guard Pascal or Miles Turner in the paint. I'm like,
Indiana needs more from him too. Speaking of Siakam, he listen, like I said, you 2 from a final. Listen. If guys listen, pains and aches, you got to step up. Look, if this means something to you, and we've said this about today's athlete, right? Does it mean like a lot of people here in New York were a little annoyed with the Knicks going to party Monday night after they lost Saturday against Indiana? They went to a nightclub, right? And I get it because again, in the day, maybe they thought about it before guys go on vacations. I get that. But the optics are bad, right? And I'm not saying that these guys don't. It's their job, right? But the optics are bad. When you're Indiana and you're Oklahoma City, you're 2-2, right? It's anybody's series. It's just there's no time for complacency. Like all heads, all people on deck. If I'm on one of these teams and I'm a guy who I know what I bring to the table, I am in that coach's meeting. Get me in the mother, game. Get me the ball. If Halliburton is the dog his daddy thinks he is, or you got to get the rock. Listen, first option's going through me. It's got to be that way. And I think ever since, to me, the last Mohegan was Garnett. We know Kobe was like that. We know, but it just seems like this generation. I don't see that enough. You know, even with LeBron, who I love, I don't see that enough. If you mad at Kobe Bryant was on Indiana, man, you better give me this ball. I'm choking somebody out. That's what we need. If Halliburton is that dude amongst a bunch of role players, he's got to have it. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but they got the Rick Carlisle's the old school guy. Rick Carlisle's got to pull his collar like, listen, man, we need you. Just like when Shea told Chet, man, get up. We need you. We don't care. Your ankle's sore. Get up. That's what it takes to win a chip.
No, you're right.
I don't know. This is, like you said, it's the new generation, but we'll see. Hey, bro. Yeah, that's all I can do is just laugh and just shake my head because, like you said, that's why I asked the question. If you're the dog on the team, how do you have 17 points and you average 20? This is the finals. It's not like, this is just the middle.
It ain't a game in February. Right. Yeah, it ain't February. Right. Yeah.
So if this is what you work for, this is what you put all the sweat and tears in for, and you giving me 20? Okay, maybe I'm, like you said, maybe I'm the old guy, get off my lawn, but that's not going to cut it.
You're with me. Oh, you are. We're together on that.
No, but I'm just saying, does that cut it? Because, I mean, look at SGA. His lowest game was what, 22? 24?
Yeah. 20, game 3, yep.
Okay. But all the rest of them, you're talking 30, 32, 38, 34.
It makes for an interesting conversation about today's, especially the NBA, right? Look at the superstars in the league.
Could that be
the old guy? Huh? Okay.
Where you about to go with that? Could that just be an American athlete problem?
Well, that's what I was making a correlation. That you look at the American stars, the younger guys under 25, they have this mentality. It's more about the flash and my brand, and the international guys seem to be more dogs. I don't know where that. I obviously because the American superstars, the KDs, LeBrons, the Stephs, that they're on there, they're teetering on, they're timing out. This new age, it's all international, starting with Giannis and the Joker and Shea, and these are all international athletes. And it says a lot. I don't know what's going on. The AAU circuit, the coddling of American basketball players, the lack of toughness. They don't play on hard. They don't play on concrete no more. Everything is on hardwood. They're specialized. They're coddled. They don't want to get their feelings hurt. And I think again, these other kids that come from these other countries, they hungry. They're dogs. They ain't got no money. Hell, they go to college. They can't even get NIL. So you see, these guys are starving, and they play that way. The American guys don't play that way. American guy get 20 points, and he's into I got triple-double numbers. How is the triple-double? I need you to be a dog, and I think something we're lacking there. And, being an American-born player, former athlete, and somebody who's been around it, I see it. I saw when I coached football, I saw these kids don't want to work. They just want the pitches, and they want to put that pretty shit on. I got the underarm. They don't want to play. They don't want to get hit. They don't want to work. And I think the same thing applies to basketball. And again, like I said, man, as three guys who are from the States, it's starting to show at the highest level of sport, especially basketball, because it's an international game.
Yeah.
Well, we did have this conversation about a week or two ago about the gap closing. Yes. And I guess some people don't understand what the gap closing, what that means.
Yes.
But
they don't.
You just explained it. You know what I mean? But I just also think that at what point AAU, college, when are these guys being tested? When are they really being tested on their mental and their toughness? Because college, you're there 6 months.
I was gonna say you don't now, because if you do get tested, you can leave.
Yeah, right.
No, you
So
can transfer portal.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think like, and here we go again, the old man get off my lawn type situation. I was 16 playing with 22, 28-year-olds on the hardwood. I mean, not even hardwood, on concrete outside, getting beat up every day. Get up.
Scars on your
Next time,
legs.
right. Next time you play against somebody this size, you grab them by the shorts on the inside so they can't move. Or you do this, you do that. But now is like I said, I don't think you 6 months of college ball, AU, where you practically playing with an all-star team every week. When are you being challenged? When are you the only person, the best person on your team, and the whole team is trying to stop you?
And with a lot of those kids, when are they practicing? They always play games. There's no practice. There's no improving on your bad flaws. That's why some of these guys get to the league, they're one-dimensional. When you ask them, how could a guy be one-dimensional in the NBA? Because he didn't work on the craft. It's too late when you're 21. You got to do that thing at 12, 13, 14. It's too late because everybody's been telling you how great you are. And now you're in a league full of talent. And even in college, high school and college, where you're there, like I said, the one and done generation, you know, and then you don't care. Like I look at guys like a Ben Simmons, who had all the raw skills. The man can't shoot, and he's in the NBA. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry, but everybody told you how great you are. Oh, he's the next coming to Magic Johnson. He's 6'9". He can look. He got full vision, but he can't shoot a jump shot, and he's so mentally weak that he can't learn to put even a layup. That's a problem. America, that's a problem. Athletes are. You mean tell me a professional athlete that his job is to put the ball in a basket and that started with peach baskets? You're afraid to shoot a ball at a 2-foot range? It's embarrassing. But that's today's generation.
You know what's
Ben
funny?
Simmons, if you'd have seen this.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, if you'd have seen the little thing they did on him at LSU, you'd have known. That's where I got it from. That's where I got all that. Oh, I'm only here for 6 months. Because he said it.
Yeah.
On his documentary at LSU, I'm only here for 6 months. I could care less about class. I can care less about anything. I'm here to play ball and I'm out of here. So they can say whatever they want. I'm going. I was like, oh, so when you going to the league with that mentality? All right. And
still get drafted number one, right? So that mentality is like, well, hey, nobody's questioning it. There's no repercussions to that. So you get what you get, you know. That's why I'm saying to people, even in these front offices, you gotta look at these athletes. Everybody thinks they can change somebody, right? Even if you meet a girl, right, and she's a little promiscuous, I can change her. You know, you dudes go to the club. No, you can't change her. She's for the streets. These athletes, same thing. Oh, I can make him. You can't make. If you don't have the Valentine, you can work on skills and changing philosophy. You can't change Valentine and mind. Maybe mental you can. It is you can't change heart. That's there. You don't care. You don't care.
Yeah. Because I had a conversation with a guy at the gym, and he was talking about competitive edge, and I was like, if we're playing a game, just work with me here. If we're playing a basketball game, I know your left hand, it hurt. I'm going to swipe at it. He's like, oh, no, that's dirty. I'm like, it's not dirty. I'm not trying to intentionally hurt you. But if I know your shooting hand is gimpy, I'm swiping at your hand.
Swap, how old is he?
He's older than me. But me, you know, let's be honest. I'm looking for the competitive edge.
Well, you've been around some dogs. That's what's up.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't, obviously.
Of course.
I'm turning that wrist. I'm nearly snapping that thing off where it's dangling by the skin.
Or like you said earlier with Chet, he twisted his ankle. If that left ankle is a little gimpy, set the screen left. Put pressure on that ankle. We're going to force that ankle. You're going to test it all day. We're going to test
I don't have to set no picks. I'm just going to back his ass down in the paint.
that either or. But the reason I say set a pick, because you got to put pressure on that leg to absorb that pick. Then you're going to have to use that leg. You know, we know how it goes. But, yeah, I'm like, and he was like, no, that's kind of dirty. I'm like, it's not dirty. I'm not intentionally hurting you, but I'm making you uncomfortable to get the win, to get the competitive edge. And, like, he was like, oh, that ain't right. I'm like, fam, look, I hear what you're saying. But that's what I'm gonna do. Now you can hate.
He must play pickleball. He must be a pickleball athlete.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's surprisingly enough, he like a black belt. One of my boys.
That's why.
So I'm like,
yeah. Well, remember, black belts believe that it's an honorable. It's honor, right?
Yeah.
They believe in honor. So even if you can't beat your opponent in real black belt world, if you cannot actually beat your opponent, you must learn to die well. That's what they teach you. So I've never been a black belt. Only black belt I got is the one on my waist in my face. I'm a black belt. But I understand he comes from that culture, so I respect that, you know. But for most of us who come from the grit of team sports, the inner cities, listen, you especially, and I hate to make it a color thing, especially being a black athlete, you better know how to grit and grind and do what you got to do to win. You ain't taking it to the parking lot, but when between the court, the white lines or the ring or whatever, if I have detailed information on you, I'm going to use it to my advantage.
True. 100%.
Are you hurt or are you injured? Because if you hurt and you out there playing, it's all fair.
Right.
It's all fair. I'm not trying to injure you. I'm not trying to injure you. No. But like Suave said, if your wrist is hurt, I'm gonna test that wrist every chance I get.
Every time you shoot, we go.
And I'm gonna tell you, partner. Hey, I hope you're ready because I'm about to slap at that wrist 3 or 4 times first quarter. I'm gonna let you know right off the rip.
And he should know that.
Right.
Every time he shoot, we gonna high five. Oh, no.
Every time. Every time.
Man, what's up, boy?
You can call a foul you want, but I'm gonna test that wrist. I hope
you got a good tape job.
I hope you like rain. I hope you got some Tylenol on the sideline or something. But I'm going to test that wrist.
Some Total on that wrist because he's going to get tapped. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but to that point, when we were talking about the American athlete, I was like, maybe it is an issue. Like, why are you not looking for the competitive edge? You know, me and my boy joke a lot. He was like, you can't be no football coach. I'm like, look, man, you have to win by any means. If that guard knee hurt a little bit, hey, pass rush to that knee. He gonna learn today. We gonna make an example out of you. It's just sports. Let's just be honest. The other team gonna do it. So why you don't?
Yeah.
But I think it goes down to what is there to care about? Like Kev said, if I still get drafted and my mentality is whatever, and I still go number one, there's no reason for me to change.
Yeah.
So I'm not
like this NIL situation. You know, listen, I'm all for kids getting paid. The NCAA has got their issues, but when it starts to get in a situation where you're paying a college kid or freshman $10 million, $3 million, and he's got all this money, $12 million over a course of 3 years. Now it's getting ridiculous. And the situation is because football is the ultimate team sport, right? And if I'm a quarterback and I'm making money, well, what about these guys that block for me? Because if they open the pathways, I ain't gonna be able to do much. And that was kind of some of the things that came out with, even though I like Shedeur and I want him to win the Cleveland job, but that was some of the things that came out about him. You know, even though I know Dion made some comments about he bought a guy's furniture and all that. But again, it's hard. It's very hard. It's jealousies amongst grown adults. Imagine you 16, 17, 18, 19, and I'm eating ramen noodles when I leave the training table, and this guy's going to Mr. Chow's. There's a problem with that. That's why I really believe, and I know they got the thing finally came out on Friday last week. Each school gets $20 million from the NCAA, and that goes up. And that's probably going to be about 15, 16 for most programs, with football being the lead horse and everybody else sprinkling in. So now you can kind of divvy that money. So if a kid has really got that type of brand, you can't knock him for getting a deal with State Farm or Gatorade. God bless him. He or she has earned that. But when the school or collective is giving a kid money who's never done anything but suck on his mama's titty, and now he's now on the campus and you expect him to kind of be the guy, that's a problem. Because if I'm a junior or senior, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a receiver. I'm a offensive lineman. I got a block for this kid, and you giving him $10 million?
On Father's Day.
Problem there. Happy Father's Day. Listen, y'all know how it is. You tell me these kids, man, they great athletes. They're great athletes. Today's athletes are so much greater, right? They condition better. They nutrition. Everything is better, but their dog is not in them. And maybe I don't know what it is. Like, and again, I'm using the term "get off my lawn" a lot. Me and Oday, but you know, we ate McDonald's and pizza and sodas, but with dogs, it wasn't so much about the talent. Because the kids today are talented. They run faster. They're bigger, stronger, everything. But the grit, and that's what sports is all about, no matter what sport it is. If you don't have grit, talent will get you to it. Listen, talent will always outshine, will shine bright like a diamond. But every sport, there's injuries, there's mental lapses, there's things that make you can't be at your best. We're human beings, right? Everybody has different pain thresholds. If you don't have that dog in you, you will. Oh, it's too cold. It's too hot. I'm injured. I had my baby mama's driving me crazy. Oh, this and that. You wilt, and that's in life in general. You work a day job. I'm sure we work jobs with people. If everything ain't perfect, it ain't sunny out, or 60, 70 degrees, they wilt. And sports, we see it more because it's mental and physical pressure. And I just think today's athlete, if an athlete ever got today's nutrition and work metrics and training with yesterday's grit, they'd be unstoppable. Unstoppable.
Could that be just a societal thing?
Yeah, I agree, because it's not just sports. Sports just a microcosm of life.
Like today's society is very to what you. Yeah,
just said. Like you can't spank your kids, right? With Father's Day, right? I grew up with spankings, right? You spank your kids today, you going to jail, right? Your kid will use the cell phone you brought them and call child services. Not to say that, and I'm not making light of that, because obviously those things are in place for a reason. But there are situations when you look at life, we don't garner our kids the same way. Like you was a kid, I was in school, you said something wrong to a principal, hit you with a ruler. You do that today, you going to jail. It's little things like that, and I'm not saying that people didn't abuse that, because a lot of people abuse it. That's why we had these things in place now. But there are things that I think make us tougher or make us more prepared for society that we don't necessarily do anymore. Now, somebody might look at hear me say, you're just a Neanderthal. And maybe that's true. But what I'm also saying is that sometimes we're very weak. We see that just in our regular society with kids, where, especially young men, on a Father's Day, it's about grooming young men, because it's always a circle of life. And some of these young kids are just kind of weak. They're kind of soft. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Or, again, we see that in music, where we see the men in music are more feminized with the clothing. And, again, these things trickle down to all aspects of life. Social media, sports, business, school. And, again, to think that athletes wouldn't be that way would be foolish. But that's a problem, because sometimes you lose your grit and your mental toughness. And every athlete goes through that, no matter how great a talent you are. If you don't have the toughness, you will not succeed. And we've seen that. We mentioned Ben Simmons. He's a perfect example.
So you said, is this the way it is, or society? I think it's society, because, like you said, Kev, yeah, things got better. But when things get better, it always makes you dumber and stupider. We got smartphones now. How many phone numbers do you remember? I'm not even that. Just honestly, how many phone numbers do you remember? Do you know how to get anywhere without putting on your GPS?
No.
Can you talk to anybody in person?
No.
Right.
There you go. So, yes, we have smartphones. We made it a whole lot better, but it made us dumber and stupider. Yeah. There's a cause and effect. There's a cause and effect. just like AAU and the one and done. Yes, it's great. They can get in there early, but you're making them dumber. They're not working. Like there's no grind, there's no dog, there's no nothing. They're just getting passed along through the system.
Real quick, is it better or just simpler to do things these days? Because
is it what?
Now I say, is it better or just simple? Like today.
I think it's better. It's better. Listen, think about it with us. We never would have met without technology.
Right.
And we built a brotherhood. So I think it's better, but just like fire, right? And I always use this analogy. Fire is great. Fire warms our food, cooks our food, so we don't get sick. It takes care of our bodies so we don't stink. All these things, right? But if you get too close to fire, it will kill you. So the same thing with technology. It's great that now you can monitor heart rates and blood levels at the instant. It's great that you can eat better and get the best out of nutrition. Those are great. But again, if you just lean on that and don't have the mentality of grinding through and pushing through, then it becomes like that fire. You got too close and it'll burn you because you leaned on it too much.
That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's gonna be better, but is it better for you? Just because it's better doesn't mean it's better for you.
Right.
That's all.
Big facts.
Like dudes looking at BBLs. It's good. It's better for you.
Here you go. Go ahead. Man. Go ahead.
I'm sitting in my car. Just happened to see one walk by. I just sorry.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know, man. So,
of course. Karen is sharing.
You said Karen is sharing. Oh my God.
Sharon is Karen. Sharon is Karen. Got me in reverse.
So let me ask y'all this, man. What's going on with Shamar Stewart? Is that his name? The D lineman in Cincinnati that has not signed his rookie deal as of yet. Now
I'm glad you mentioned this.
I'm
glad you mentioned this.
They say the thing about the contract is pretty much whatever he does in his rookie year, almost all his guaranteed money can be voided. Now, am I right or am I wrong about that, Kev? Because I know you looked into it, right?
I don't know the exacts, but I think it's the language on if he gets injured or something. There's some type of injury language where he doesn't play games.
Detrimental to the team.
Right. Now, again, I'm glad you mentioned this. Listen, we understand the Bengals, and big shout out to Erica. We know the Bengals have got issues, right? They've always had issues, and I get it, right? Yeah. I'm not necessarily mad at the player. What I'm a little annoyed at with Shamar Stewart is this. You came in as a 5-star athlete, right? You really never played up to that level. You got paid heavy at A&M. Never played to that level. You have 4 sacks last year in college, right? As a rush end. He does everything. BS. 4 sacks. You were down. We're talking about dogs. You're 4 sacks. You get drafted by a team who they're trying to get rid of one of the best DNs in the league. They draft you to fill that spot. And they really draft you off potential, which the NFL really never does. We see NFL guys in college got to play 3 years, so we see the talent level, the metamorphosis of the athlete. He's done this on the field. They drafted him off potential, off measurables, which is very rare for an NFL team to do. Now, NFL teams also do their verification checks. They know about you, they learn about you as a person. They've talked to your family members. They've reached out to your ex-girlfriends, the ones that you still speak to, and the ones that hate your guts. They've done all this work. So if I look at the Bengals, draft on potential, did their background on Stewart, realized that they got work to do because they are trying to replace a guy that's an all-NFL player with a rookie that has some potential. Mm-hmm. Through their background, I don't know this to be fact, but maybe through their background checks, they didn't do this to any other picks. They could do this to the second-round pick. They didn't do this last year. Maybe through their background checks, they found something that realized it was a red flag, We still got to replace Hutchinson, and maybe we need to protect ourselves. Everybody's looking at it from the player's perspective, which I understand. Most people can't understand the business side of it. But there's no reason for an NFL team, even as dysfunctional as the Bengals, to make this move or do this type of contract with a rookie unless they have some intel, a la Kyler Murray. Remember Kyler Murray a couple years ago? The Cardinals made him sign a contract because they knew he didn't read playbooks. If I know better, you do better. Why would I give a guy, and maybe you say to the Bengals why you draft him in the first place. That's another thing. But for this conversation, if I know something, if I think a kid's got talent and I'm drafting him off potential, but I know he's got some little tweaks and chinks in his armor, I'm going to keep him frosty and keep him with the understanding that, I'm going to put this in the contract. Now, again, Stewart could serve him volley. I didn't like the contract. Where Stewart was wrong was he opened his mouth. You don't go and have conversations in a locker room like you're a 10-year veteran. You don't start talking about Hutchinson, who's an all-NFL player, and talking about, oh, if I was the Bengals. You don't know about that situation, dog. You've been there 2 months, a month. How are you talking about an all-NFL star about his contract? You don't even know how to get to the stadium. What are you doing? So when everybody's like, oh, yeah, Stewart is right. No, he's not right. Because you let your people do that talk. You shut the fuck up and you say, you know what? They're going to work that out. Now you done left camp. So now you done told the Bengals, kiss my ass, because you know what? I don't need your money. That's what we're talking about with today's athlete. That is the problem. You got a kid who feels entitled. He hasn't even played a preseason game yet. 4 sacks in the SEC last year, but yet he's got the right and he feels he's got the wherewithal to talk about an all NFL player that he was drafted to replace. You don't even know that man. Oh, well, man, I'll open them. Shut the hell up and let your people deal with it. Now it's in the media. You done put it in the media. Bengals didn't come out and talk about this. You did. So now all of a sudden we're supposed to have 50 for you. The hell with that kid. Let him go back to the draft, because you got to realize one thing. You're making a king's ransom play a child's game. And while, yes, it is a business, let business people take care of the business. Your job is to play. He had to say nothing. The Bengals would have probably made this switch because it would be stupid to keep this language in the contract. But once you start challenging billionaire owners, good luck, son. Go play in the USFL or UFL and see how you get the guaranteed $40 million. God bless you. I'm done.
With that being said, I hope everybody had a good Father's Day, Swab. That to me ended the show. I have nothing to say behind that. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you could have went 7 more minutes, we would have been all right, boy.
I could have, but I gotta defer to my esteemed co-host. I just think again, when people look at things on the surface, that is today's world. Okay, wow, nobody else is doing this. Why are they doing this? And you can say that, and you can stop but I like to investigate. I got a little bit of Matlock in me. And I'm like, yo, listen, but also that nobody's talking about, the same guy that negotiated his NIL deal. And if you remember when he was at A&M, that was the biggest recruiting, biggest money given out to a recruiting class ever. His people with the NIL money were trying to get more and more money. So they think they're trying to do this in the NFL, but the kid didn't even produce in college to that level. They drafted him on potential. And they did their due diligence. Now, like I said again, they could. Why you drafted him? He's a great talent, and we all believe, like the girl in the strip club, well, I can change her. Well, maybe the Bengals are the ones that feel they can change her, but obviously they learned that really quick. You can't.
No, you're right. You're right. But I think a lot of people are looking at it just from the player's perspective. Because I've watched different podcasts and, pretty much all former athletes. And they're like, oh, well, now this doesn't belong in a contract. They're trying to get over on them. But to your point, I'm sure the Bengals did their due diligence, looking into him. Talked to his mama, his grandma, his second grade teacher, his high school coach. The D-line coach at A&M that got fired 2 years into him being there, just to see what kind of kid this is. and they obviously see something. Because, like you say, it's not in anybody else's contract.
So why
He
draft?
made the mistake. Yeah. If he just
I
would not
agree.
open his mouth, just don't open his mouth. If he would not open his mouth, it'd have been fine. You start
No,
talking in the locker room like you a chisel vet. That's the problem.
I mean, I get it, but why draft him if he got red flags? What's the point?
That's another thing, and that's another question to be asked by the Bengals. Like, yeah, if you knew all this, why you took Shador off the board for less? But why draft this kid? But then again, they might. All I think I can equate of is they the dude that goes to the strip club and say, "Yo, I can make her a housewife." No, you can't. And that's all I can think of. Or maybe because they won't pay Hutchinson, that's a debacle. How they handling that? And they just say, "Hey, maybe we can train this kid." You're right though, but why draft him?
But that's what I'm saying. If you know there's a red flag because you did all your investigation before the draft, it's not that you waited till you drafted this cat and then you got all this information. You knew all this information before the night of the draft. So if you had any little, hey, bro, take him off the board. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to pay Hutchinson and we're gonna have to find somebody else. But we cannot pay this kid. That does not do our. That's all I'm saying. Right. So if you're going to draft him and then you put special language in it, regardless of what this kid is doing, you should have never drafted him in the first place. Then we wouldn't even have this conversation.
That's true, and that's why they're the Bengals.
Yeah, that's true, and that's when you said that. That's why I can do nothing but shake my head. Because
they've done this before. I mean, rest in peace, Chris Henry. Pac-Man Jones. This is who they are. They're the quintessential guy that goes to the club and feels I can change her, and they've done this is their MO. They draft these guys that are kind of on the edge, who have some issues but are great talents, and they think they can change them, or maybe they feel like, I don't know what they're thinking because this is what Chris Henry was the same thing. The young man, who died. Who went through it, Pac-Man Jones has had his. It's the same type of thing. You draft these guys and you feel you can make them into, model citizens. It's not. I'm not saying Stewart's not a model citizen. I'm just saying, again, there's a reason why somebody would put that language in there. Again, like I said, it's the NFL. The older I get, the more I look at the business side because I can't play no more. So I look at the business side of it, and the business side of it tells me that you put that language in. But then to O's point, if you knew you had to put that language in, why would you even waste the pick, especially at number one?
Nah, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. That's all.
So
like, yeah, I got nothing. I'm gonna leave that alone.
No, because not even that. It's just they obviously put it in your contract for a reason. Same thing with Kyle.
We wouldn't have this conversation if it was a 4th round pick, right? We wouldn't have this conversation. They're like, oh, well, you should just be happy to be in the league. So what makes it different is because it's a 1st round pick. But again, if you're going to give a person that type of money and you feel, to me, if I'm going to pay somebody that type of money, no matter how much money I got to have no red flags or very minuscule red flags. They obviously saw a red flag, but then again, why draft them? I don't know. That part I can't answer. The NFL is a beauty pageant. It only takes one team to like you. A la Dylan Gabriel going the 3rd round when nobody had him above 5. Cleveland they just loved him, so they drafted him. It only takes one. But the thing with Stewart, now you left camp, right? You was in camp. You was doing the right things. You was still going to meetings. You was still engaging with team. It just wasn't practicing. You was doing the right things. But once you opened your mouth, you now put the situation, the emphasis on the Bengals to say, you know what? Now you're becoming a cancer here. We got other young guys working. They've all signed their deals. Even though you're a 1st round pick and you got that 1st round pick money, we know with the NFL, once you're in camp, you're in camp. Let's work. I've seen guys get cut or big time free agents get moved pretty quick if the work doesn't match what the reputation is. So you're in camp, you're doing the right things. They put a microphone because they put a mic in your face. You don't have to talk about it. No, I'm letting my team handle it. He should learn something from Shador. You see what Shador is doing in Cleveland. They're asking questions about that and Deion's health, can't answer that. You know, learn. These colleges, one another thing before we get out of here, they need to learn how to help these kids how to handle media, because these kids don't know. They talk like they were on their Instagram lives and they're just saying anything. That was the problem I had with him. Dog, just shut up. You ain't got to say nothing. Everybody knew you ain't signed your deal, but nobody knew about this until you start talking about it. You're not that good. You haven't earned that equity yet to start running your mouth about a franchise that's going to give you generational wealth. What are we doing here? That's entitlement to me. The NFL, you're not like, oh, I played college ball. My next step. The NFL don't owe you nothing. You know, you think the Bengals can't go find another DN? I mean, he only had 4 sacks last year. He ain't like he's, you know, the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. So I ain't gonna find somebody to give me that production. Or if I ain't gotta pay this kid $40 million, maybe I give it to Henderson and keep the All-Pro. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, son, whoever's in your ear, your family, whoever, your team, they're not doing you any favors. And I get a little emotional on this because I've had in my past, you guys know a little. I've taught the kids like this, like, who the hell you think you are? They don't need you, dog. It's a million kids who would sleep at a facility in their car for what you got. They giving you $40 million, and you're looking at it like, oh well, hey, I don't like the land. Who the fuck are you? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. I just gotta explain to people why me and Suave are having these reactions when Kev goes on. I don't know if you ever noticed that 950 is the calmest one out of all of us. And I do mean the calmest. The only time we've seen him get this animated is when he's talking about his Jets and his Knicks. So that's why it is hilarious, because the first thing that popped in my mind was the first game of the season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a bad day. A bad night. It was a great day. It was a bad night.
You got to understand, people. This is not 950. That's usually me doing all of that. That's not 950. So when he does it takes us all back, and I just got to sit back and let him have it. We just got to let him run with it and let him get it out of the system.
It rips me. I'll share one quick story before we get out of here. I used to coach youth football, and was a kid that we had in our youth program that a lot of prep schools wanted, right? Ton of prep schools. Now, again, it's a kid from the inner city Bronx, and anybody from the Bronx. This kid here, I actually had to take this kid shopping to eat. Kid would come to practice, coach. I ain't got no food in my stomach. So it would be times me and my missus we would take him shopping, bring him groceries for him and his family. He had an opportunity to go to this big time prep school in Connecticut. I won't mention the prep school's name, but a very big prep school where a lot of pros have come out. This kid's not even in high school yet. This kid's playing youth ball, equivalent. And we were a little bigger than Pop Warner because we didn't have no age, no weight requirements, but he was playing. And he was dominant. And the coach comes down from Connecticut, and I remember it was yesterday. It was my birthday, and I said, you know what? I don't care. It's my birthday. I'm gonna get this kid to a prep school. So I told my missus, I can't go nowhere. I'm helping this young man. We go. We meet at the field. The school comes in, mother comes in, the coach, the prep school takes us to lunch, have a conversation. They're ready to sign the paperwork. Everything is just pretty much done. All he's got to do is pass, I think, one class or two. You know, he had grade issues, had to pass one class. This kid here started cutting school. And he's like, well, yo, coach, they want me. I don't, ain't my kid, but I almost lost it on this kid. I said, what is wrong with you? And what is wrong with your family? Because you got an opportunity to make it. I said, son, are you mad? Did you realize that I'm not rich? You realize I'm buying you groceries? The burger that you had last night is probably the meat patties I brought you. And you're telling me a prep school that's normally $50,000 a year is giving you a ride that's going to easily get you to a D1 school, and whatever happens after that is going to change your trajectory for you and your current family and your next generations for life, and you're cutting class to go smoke weed? It's, again, privilege. Nobody owes you nothing. Everything is earned, not given. And the thing, going back to Stewart, they don't owe you nothing, dog. Just because you're big and strong, you can rush the quarterback, they don't owe you nothing because somebody will be there. Even if they have a hole this year, they'll go draft a DN next year that'll probably have more than 4 sacks in college. So that's my thing. People talk about, the player. He's not even a player yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't played one game. All right, I understand they put bad language. I respect that. It's negotiation. It's business. It's big business. But in big business, the employees don't talk. I got representation for a reason. Let them handle that. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Trust me, the Bengals would have put that thing. Oh man, it's July. We got to get this kid in camp. Let's just change this thing. Negotiations happen all the time in business. I'm in business. Negotiations happen. But if I start running my mouth, but what did Dave Chappelle? Remember the Dave Chappelle thing? Keeping it real goes wrong. He was the lawyer. He started flipping on there, and the next scene he was jerking his meat on the toilet. That is what will happen if you let yourself start talking. Just shut up. Let the professionals do what they do best, and you do what you do best. But that's why it's so packed. It reminds me of this kid. I'm like, bro, like, what the NFL is a privilege, and they giving you. Listen, we all got to go to work tomorrow, right? Oh, you got a family. What can you do with $40 million? And if something you didn't agree with, if you didn't agree with something, but you have representation, well, let them handle that.
Yeah.
Hey, we ain't playing football today. There's no need for. He was in camp. There's no need for me to talk. My management, my team is taking it. We're working it out. That's it. Done. You start saying, well, hey, Sanderson, they should be paying him, and I'm just saying, like, the language ain't right, so I can't. Who the hell are you, dog? Enough once, Stewart.
I mean,
and well, as Willie D says, no more talk.
It goes back to full circle about today's athlete.
Yeah, today's theme, today's athlete. Yep.
So I mean, bro, I've heard horror stories, so that's why I'm just like, some things I can't help you with. And like I always tell my kids, if I care for something more than you, then I just stop caring. Because it's not for me, it's for you. So if I have to care more than you, then apparently it's not important to you. So I'll stop thinking about it. All right, I'll stop. So
yep.
No, you're right. And with that being said, happy Father's Day, gentlemen. All the fathers out there. Hopefully you get all the gifts you hope to get. And
you won't, but you can wish for them.
See, he just had to say.
All you're going to get is socks, underwear, and a tie, and a coffee mug. If you get more than that, congratulations.
With no coffee in it.
Wow, that's crazy. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.